Let's rock and roll.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Welcome today. I am talking with Jan Andrew Henderson. Got that right?
You did,
Yes,
yes.
awesome. Wonderful. There's been so many names I've mispronounced in this series specifically, and I've had to redo them a few times. So thank you so much for joining me today.
My pleasure.
So tell me a bit about what you write. Because I've heard your name a lot and never seen a face, and everyone's like, oh, you have to speak to Jan. And often I'll have people say, you have to speak to Jan Andrew. And I'm like, okay, all right. And now I've got you here, so let's chat.
Absolutely. What do I write? I cover a lot of bases, actually.
Yeah.
I write for children, teenagers, young adults, and adults. And I write fiction and non-fiction, science fiction, horror, thrillers, a lot of psychological thrillers for young adults,
Excellent.
history books, and one romance.
Oh, wonderful. So how many books in total have you written?
I think I'm coming up for 38.
38.
Yes.
That's fantastic. And how long have you been writing for?
About 20 years.
Yep,
Yep.
that sounds about right.
Yep.
What was the most fun thing that you've written? What did you enjoy the most?
I quite like writing the non-fiction books.
Really?
Oddly enough, because they don't really require much in the way of imagination. You know, you got your facts
Yep.
and your interpretation of the facts, and you just write that down. So they're very easy.
So
Very easy to write.
what are your non-fiction titles?
I come from Edinburgh.
Yep.
And in Edinburgh, for many years, I was a tour guide, and I actually, strangely enough, I own a ghost tour company
Oh my gosh.
in Edinburgh. And when you're a tour guide, obviously, you start to learn about the history of the place. So I've written a book on, obviously one on supernatural Edinburgh, but also a guide to Edinburgh's Royal Mile, a guide to Edinburgh's New Town, the story of literary Edinburgh, because it has a fascinating literary history which actually changed the world, really. So there's a book about that, and a history of Scotland called The Emperor's New Kilt, which is about all the things about Scotland that people really don't know.
Yep.
Things they're famous for but shouldn't be, and things they're not famous for but should be. So, and one about the graveyards of Scotland as well. Keep returning to the spooky thing because
You know what? I love the spooky things. Like, speaking as a Scorpio, some people are just going to cringe when I say that. But I remember when I was in Edinburgh, there was like it wasn't a ghost tour, but it was kind of like a dark history of Scotland tour.
Yes.
They take you down into a dungeon and stuff. But they spoke about what they believed was the most prolific serial killer family that were all cannibals, and they lived like on the edge of the country, and they would capture people and eat them and all of that. And so that one stuck with me, as well as all the torture implements that they pulled out.
that would be Sonny Bean.
That's the one,
And
yes.
his family, yeah.
Yes. So yeah, that one stuck with me and was very fascinating because that's surprisingly, that one, not surprisingly really, but that one was replicated and used in sneaky ways in a lot of Japanese manga and anime and things like that.
Yes.
They use the names Sawney Bean, or they change them to Sawney Bean, and they use those as like monster names in a lot of Japanese literature.
That's one of the things about Edinburgh's tourism industry is that they will use anything they can to attract customers. In actual fact, Sonny Bean may be a legend, and if he did exist, he probably didn't come from Edinburgh or live anywhere near Edinburgh. He probably lived near Glasgow.
Yep.
Won't stop us using
All
the
right.
story, though.
Oh, it's so fascinating. You know what? The spooky history of places often is a huge compelling factor for people to come and visit. And I think that when you're a bit too shy about that spooky factor, it kind of detracts from the depth of history a place can have.
Yeah, Edinburgh loves its supernatural history. A lot of people come to Edinburgh specifically because of its supernatural reputation, and the inhabitants don't do anything at all to deter them from that. The place is full of ghosts.
Oh, it's like drop bears in Australia. We don't do anything to deter people from not touching the wildlife.
Absolutely.
Scotland has a lot of magic to it, though. I actually got this from what they say is the oldest witchy pagan shop in Edinburgh. So it's pewter. It's right on the main street. But there seems to be a lot of like occultism, spirituality, folklore, all woven into the everyday life of Scottish people. And I think that's just absolutely charming.
It is there. In fact, your little amulet there, we had a witchcraft shop in a street called Candlemaker Row, just off Edinburgh's Royal Mile.
Yep.
And this is how legends get interwoven into the fabric of Edinburgh. At one time there were two witchcraft shops in Candlemaker Row, which is a narrow alleyway. It runs down next to Greyfriars Graveyard, where our tours go. And above it is the Elephant House Cafe, and across the street is Heriot's School. And the Elephant House Cafe is where J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter.
Oh, yes.
Candlemaker Row with our shop is Diagon Alley. Heriot's School is Hogwarts.
Yep.
It looks like a castle, and it used to be an orphanage. And in the Greyfriars Graveyard, you'll find the graves of Tom Riddle, McGonagall, and there's another one as well.
There's probably Severus or...
Yeah. If you ask J.K. Rowling, she denies all this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Oh. That's because I shouldn't be saying this, but I will. Because the cafe where she claims to have written Harry Potter was owned by her brother-in-law.
Yep.
But she didn't. She wrote it in the Elephant House.
So she's trying to give props to her brother-in-law's cafe.
Yeah, she doesn't claim that so much now because he sold the cafe, so she doesn't care anymore.
Yeah.
That's where it was written, and you just have to look around to see all the influences. It's quite astonishing.
That is magical. J.K. Rowling has a bit of a love-hate relationship with a lot of our authors at the Writers' Festival. A lot of us, I think, grew up and were heavily influenced by her writing, and then what's happened in recent years has really made it turn very sour. So I've said this a few times, but much like the Lovecraftian audience, upon finding out, which was not hard to find out, that Lovecraft was very racist, they took his work and were like, no, you can't have it anymore. Granted, he's dead. And they've remorphed it into something that's far more accepting, but still equally terrifying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a nice guy, so hopefully that won't affect my sales at all. I haven't done anything wrong.
I think that... I don't think we have to worry about doing anything wrong as long as the intention is still of compassion and kindness.
Yes.
And I think the majority of people, and especially the majority of writers, aim for that, no matter what they're writing. So tell us a bit about the fiction that you've done.
I started off by basically I write whatever people want me to write. I started off by writing books for younger children, sort of fantasy style things, and then I moved on to. I was writing books for Oxford University Press at that point, and I said to them, look, I've got a type of book that I want to write, which I don't think has been for young adults, which I don't think has really been seen before, and I would like a chance to do that. So they actually got me to write 3 books, which I still think are. Because I was free to do what I wanted for a big publisher.
That's a nice position to be in.
Which I still think are my favourites. Bunker 10, one called Crash, and one called Colony. And they were psychological thrillers for young adults, but they were extremely... I wanted to write plots that nobody had ever seen before. And I mean, like, you just could not guess where they were going. And so I managed to write all 3 of them, and they did okay, but as it turned out in the end, Oxford University Press weren't all that pleased. They were going for a younger, sort of more exciting adventures. They marketed them as adventure stories for boys, and they absolutely were not that. So young boys would get them expecting to find, some kind of daring do's, and it wasn't. They were very dark. So,
yeah.
So in the end, I brought them out again myself just 2 or 3 years ago, because they went out of print eventually a couple of years ago. So I bought the rights back, and I brought them out myself under their original names, which were Bunker 10, Waiting for the Train That Never Comes, and The Kirk Fallen Stopwatch. So they're back out again.
That sounds so much more spooky than Colony and what was the middle one? Crash.
I never got to keep the titles I wanted. When writing for publishers, I never get to keep the titles I come up with. And that's one of the great things that I'm what's known as a hybrid
Yep.
writer, in that I write for publishing companies, but I also publish my own stuff as well.
Yeah.
And basically what I do is I'll write a book. If the publishing company wants it, great. If not, I will bring it out myself.
Yeah.
And it affords me the luxury that I no longer have to change too much.
Yeah.
I don't have to, because with publishing companies, I don't know if you know, you'll send in your book and they'll be like, that's fantastic, but can we change the 6-foot detective into a 3-foot nun?
Yes.
And if I don't want to do that now, I don't have to.
Yeah.
So it's a nice position to be in.
Having that, I feel like it's having all that experience, having the foundation, like a good author platform, really affords people that power. So it allows them to be able to be like, no, I'm going to take this back and just release it myself because I don't want to make those changes. Like we used to get a lot of whitewashing, so a lot of people would be turned white or they'd be turned American. Yes. And I'm really glad that that's not the case these days. People are really leaning into diversity. But yeah, and you'd also get a lot of people that wouldn't accept anything unless it was like at least Christian suggesting as well. So I found that a lot of the authors in Australia that wanted to write things that were either very atheistic or leaning into other religions were knocked back because they refused to bend in that direction.
Yes.
So yeah, it's a really good position for you to be in, to be able to be like, yep, no, this is what I want, title or not.
I mean, obviously there are downsides to it, because sometimes, you'll write something and the benefit of a publishing company is you give it to, if you've got a good editor, they will actually say, no, this doesn't work and this doesn't work, and often they can be right.
Yeah.
So it's like,
the blessing of good editors.
Yeah, it's like Jason Donovan when he had Stock Aitken Watchman writing his songs for him, and he had huge hits, and then he thought, no, I'll write my own songs. And then he disappeared from the charts. But on the other hand, I think publishers are still very risk averse. And they kind of need to wake up, because this is a situation more and more with writers. It's like, okay, if you don't want to publish it, I'll do it myself.
Yeah.
And so, yes, self-publishing, you get a lot of rubbish out there. But all the really exciting stuff as well is getting self-published, because publishers don't want to touch it because it's too,
it's too different.
Controversial, it's too different. And so, yeah, if you look around, you'll find things that are fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of the authors in Logan are self-published, so we see that so often. What would you say is easier, the process for traditionally publishing or self-publishing?
Oh, traditionally, is easier because you just give it to them. But when the first time I decided to self-publish was only 2 years ago, and I could use a computer and things like that, but I'm not adept at all. And I was like, and you know what? It was pretty easy. Yeah. I learned how to format the books. If you're putting it on Amazon, you don't need to do anything at all. You simply write it and stick it up there. That's all there is to it. If it's an ebook. Yeah. If it's if it's a proper book, you can format it yourself. As long as you're really careful, it's got to be proofread properly.
Yes. Yeah.
You can actually do yourself.
Yeah.
And then as long as you've got someone who could design a cover for you to the right specifications, which costs virtually nothing.
Yeah, you can get that done on Fiverr. Yeah. You can do it on Canva yourself, which is what I'm doing at the moment.
I've got a gentleman whose name I cannot pronounce. Panagiotis, he's Greek.
Yes.
I've never met him, he lives in Greece.
It's going to end in a kavos.
I said that. Well, I sent him a picture and he sent me back the cover.
Beautiful.
Fantastic. And then I published through Ingram Spark.
Yes.
And what you get is, when it arrives in the mail, is a book which looks exactly the same as if a big publisher had brought it out. The quality is exactly the same.
Yep.
So,
do you know what's interesting? So a lot of libraries, a lot of schools, and a lot of retailers get all of their books from somewhere like Peter Powell. Peter Powell gets their books from Ingram Spark. Yeah. So you're getting the exact same books that you would get anywhere else. Yeah, as long as the design is good, then the book will come out good.
And with large publishing companies merging, then it's an option. It just opens the playing field to some extent.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's fantastic. So tell us a bit about the talk you'll be giving at the Logan Writers Festival this year.
Is it for adults or children? Well, I'm sorry, I must explain that I am one of these people. I just rock up. What am I doing?
I'm kind of the same, to be honest. I'll have like the title of the talk, and then I'll be like, oh yeah, no, I can do that.
Generally, if I'm giving a talk, then, because I do workshops and things like that as well. But if it's a talk, I generally talk about becoming a writer, but not the sort of normal, because I didn't really think I would, and I was headed in another direction entirely, probably towards jail, and becoming an author was really quite an accident for me. So I tend to talk about that. Is it adults or children?
So it'll be teenagers and up.
Right.
Like there might be some children there, but they're not. They'll be invited next year, I promise. We've got the high schools coming on the Friday, and then we've got general public on the Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an odd talk because I am well aware that if it's teenagers, for instance, there are many people in the audience who are not, they're not going to be writers, or they don't really, they're just, they come to listen. And I do a lot of school talks where the children are forced to listen. And so they're like, right, entertain me. And that's what I try and do, because, not everybody wants to be a writer. So my talk is about becoming a writer, but it's not, I don't read passages from my book. I've got a son, and he's like, please don't read your book to me.
I didn't think you could do that. I didn't even think about that.
So it's not about writing. It's not about writing specifically. It's about how I became a writer, and it's odd. It involves a bear and being dressed as an Easter bunny and injuring myself in a children's theatre by having a plank of wood nail itself to my leg. And other things like that.
I really want to ask more, but I also
I
want it saved for the talk so everyone comes to watch it. Oh, so what throughout your author career have you felt has given you the most resilience?
I'll
put you on the spot with that one.
The fact that when I did discover that I wanted to write, that in itself was just wow. This is what I want to do, and it's great. And this is part of the talks about this as well. It's great to discover something that you love.
Yeah.
And I'd gone through a lot of different jobs before I had an opportunity to actually write for a living.
Yeah.
And again, that's partly what the talk's about as well. They're doing this and this and this and this, partly just for the money, or partly because I wanted to be famous. So I did this job and didn't like any of them, and then found something I absolutely loved. And that love of writing kept me going, because to start with, I was doing other jobs as well. And you can do any job and write at the same time. Yeah. You really can. No matter what. Well, obviously not if you're a pilot. Well, yes, actually you can.
Yeah.
Autopilot.
Yeah. And you know what? With dictation software today, you can definitely just chat and have the radio turned off while you're driving your plane.
Yeah. I used to work in a call centre. In fact, 3 different call centres. They're good for that. You'd be like, Progressive Auto Insurance. Please hold. Oh, for this idea. Okay. But also, then I eventually, like I say, I started up my own tour company, and that gave me the opportunity. Not just you'd think you'd get sick of writing, but that gave me the opportunity to tell stories for a living, as well as writing as well. So everything I was doing was fun.
Yeah.
And people who do write, you know the feeling that comes with rejection.
Yes.
You send it off to the publisher, it gets rejected.
If they're nice enough to send you a letter back and say that it's been rejected.
Yep. Or, woohoo, they say yes, and then they send it back saying change this and this and this and this and this.
Yep.
Oh, and then you do all that, and then it's published. Nobody buys it.
Yep.
No, we don't want the third part of that trilogy you worked so hard on. Okay. So the resilience comes from doing. If you don't really enjoy writing, then if you're just doing it because you want to get published, it's soul destroying.
It's kind of a not strong enough reason to.
Yeah.
It's not going to weather you through the storm.
So yeah, my resilience comes from the fact that I do it because I love it, and also because nowadays, if I write something, I can write whatever I want and publish it myself.
Beautiful.
And I don't care if it doesn't sell millions of copies. I'm just happy that I've done what I want to do. So I get a lot of comfort from that. And I need it because I've got 3 children, none of whom have ever read anything I've ever written. My son's 21, he's never read a book of mine.
You know what? I've got family members that have never read my book. My partner has never read my book. I'm really glad that my mum read my books. But I can totally understand that.
Yeah.
I feel like if you're after validation from your family, don't write a book. Not unless it's your autobiography.
I know, and you can't say, right, read it.
Yeah.
Don't feel safe. Leave me alone.
Just read the chapter, okay? I swear you'll be hooked.
I'll read it to you.
I've done that.
My son's 9 and he's like, oh, please don't. Okay.
Oh, devastating. That's the worst rejection. Worse than any publisher. Oh, goodness. Oh, well, it's going to be so much fun to have you at the festival. I think that your wealth of knowledge and experience across continents with the writing industry is going to be incredibly valuable for all of Logan's literary community.
No, I'm looking forward to it.
It's going to be amazing. So you'll be able to see Jen on the 9th and 10th of September at the Logan Artists Association. So make sure you get your tickets. I can see the ticket sales. I see you haven't bought your ticket. So please buy your ticket. Come see Jen. It's going to be an amazing talk. And if you aren't hooked on what he's saying already, then I don't know what's going to hook you, because I need to know why he got into writing and what the rabbit suit and the bear had to do with anything.
Oh, yes, you'll find out how my writing was shaped by a grizzly bear.
Oh, this sounds fantastic. Thank you so much for coming today, and we will see you in September at the Logan Writers Festival.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.